This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. And let me tell you, it's been a long time again since we spoke. My apologies. You know what? When it's 30 degrees out, family's down, it's your birthday week, all that fun stuff. You know what? You just gotta sit back and enjoy a little bit of life. But let me tell you what. That still didn't correct the issue. Let me tell you what, that doesn't mean Oilers news doesn't keep happening. And at this point of the year, it's no longer news. It's back to the old juicy rumor mill. And that's normally where I'd be capitalizing left, right, and center and getting on everything. And you know what? Today's video I thought would be Adam Larson to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But before we start examining one-for-one deals or trades involving picks or trades involving multiple players to upgrade at another position, you got to examine kind of what the situation at that given position is. And what we've kind of found in the defense is, depending on who you are, what your take as a fan is, what kind of hockey background you come from, and all those kind of things considered, you kind of sit here and you look at that Edmonton Journal Cult of Hockey podcast they did, where they were talking about trading either Darnell Nurse, Oscar Klefbom, Adam Larson, throwing any name out there on the Oilers defense per se. And you kind of sit there and you think, well, this is what I do. This is what I do. This is who I'd go for. Thing is, the reality of the situation, no matter how you say it, is the Oilers need to move two defenders. Now you look at the situation on the back end: Klefbom, Larson, Nurse. Bear obviously is re-upping and he is going to be here. We're not being dumb here. Chris Russell still signed through next year. So that's 5 guys guaranteed to be signed through next year. And then Matt Benning, who is an RFA, and he seems a likely target. Punt him, and that opens up that spot on the right side. You're looking for either Caleb Jones or Evan Bouchard. Here would be my take, however. Because what we're going to find ourselves in is a situation in which the season at the earliest, as everybody tried to point out, starts December 1st. That is at the earliest. And let me tell you, I would be shocked if the NHL tries to adapt an MLB situation like they have for their 60-game season. I would be shocked if the NHL would be that stupid, especially after getting a new CBA in place. So that's why I'm still not firm on December 1st opening night for the 2021 season. Okay, so with that covered, right, is you've got a long way to go. You've got essentially 3.5 months minimum before we get to the next season. 3.5 months minimum. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're just trying to make sure nothing stupid happens in the bubble and we get a Stanley Cup champion. That is priority number one, and a big reason, as I said in the last video I updated you guys with, why I'm just really couldn't give anything worth anything right now towards the whole Oilers thing, just because there is, seriously in my mind, no actual timetable for anything in reality. So, you know what? That's great. That's my opinion. I don't need to shove it down your throat, but you get where I'm coming from in terms of that's a long ways away no matter how you cut it. If you're a hard and dry cut December 1st guy, that is still, or lady, that is still 3.5 months away. All right? Any way you cut it. Any way you cut it, the minimum earliest date is 3.5 months away. So, in that time, you've got rookies, you've got veterans, you've got guys that are going to have played 4, 5, if you count the exhibition games, since March 11th. All right, March 11th to the earliest, December 1st. That is almost 9 months where they've seen 5 games of sanctioned NHL game action, okay? Stop me if you're a little worried, because I'm a little worried about that too. Now, obviously we saw what the result of all that time off was in game 1. My goodness, it was atrocious, so imagine that. So now, let's kind of look at the defense again. I talked about it with Chris Russell, is the fact that when it comes to moving a contract or two off the blue line, as looking at the situation, you need to free up a space for Jones, Bouchard, and whoever else is coming on up. Honestly, I think those are the 2 guys that are coming up. So at minimum, you have to free up a right-handed D position for Jones Bouchard. But when it comes down to it, at the other side of the coin is Bouchard ready? Well, no, but still, you have to free up a spot for at least Jones. And then, of course, you've got William Lagesson in the mix. Don't forget about him. Philip Broberg, who knows what this kid's going to achieve in this couple of months off. He could come to camp whenever it starts up and be a top pairing defenseman in the NHL right out of the gate. You just, straight up at this point, nothing would surprise me. Guys, 2020 is a legitimate thing we've all been living through. If anything surprises you this year, I'm sorry. You clearly do not have good enough stock of what's happened so far. But, end of the day, right? Philip Broberg, Evan Bouchard, William Lagesson, that's really all you've got in there. But that's 3 guys plus somebody who played half a year in the NHL in Caleb Jones. That's 4 potential guys for realistically at this point what appears to be only one spot if indeed the Oilers choose to get rid of Matt Benning. Now, that's the thing, right? If they don't, then you're focusing on the other 5 to find a spot, and then there you go. You kind of find your trio that the Cult of Hockey was talking about. But at the same rate, everybody would be more inclined outside of those 3 guys to go to Chris Russell. However, you're not going to get anything of value, right? If you think, hey, we need to trade a blue liner for a scoring winger to really bolster the offense. Well, my friends, Chris Russell is not that defender you trade to bolster the offense. Straight up, I don't think any of our defenders outside of Clefbaum in the right package bolsters the offense as much as Oilers fans seem to be crying for post-playoffs. See, that's the key term, is crying for, and that scoring winger. Is realistically, there is nobody on the Oilers defense that is going to magically trade one guy, solve the Oilers' problems up front, solve the Oilers' problems on the defense, or solve the Oilers' problems in net. Thing is, right, okay, let's go to the top half of the lineup here on the defensive side. Darnell Nurse, he had way more value prior to signing that contract, $5.6 million for the next 2 years, than he does now. That is an anchor contract right now by the appearance. This is not a bargain value contract in the least. The playoff performance is concerning. The leadership qualities following the playoffs is concerning. And secondary to that, straight up, what you saw on the ice in the regular season in 1920 is not worth $5.6 million if that's what you're going to get in the playoffs, right? I am all for paying a guy for what he does. Thing is, there's 2 parts of that. You have to do what you do to make the team succeed in the regular season, and then you have to do what you have to do in a different way in the playoffs. And Darnell Nurse is not a guy that looks capable of doing both after his playoff performance. So, right, is tough. I really don't think you're going to get anything substantial of value because you're going to have to absorb a stupid cap to make a trade work with another team if you're trading out Darnell Nurse. Straight up, with the cap being flat at 81.5, there is no magic math of, oh, we can just trade Darnell Nurse, retain 2.5, get somebody in here for $3 million or something silly or whatever, and we're good. No, that just, again, anchor contract because there is no perfect solution to trading Darnell Nurse because at this point in my mind, you're selling low in comparison to what you would have done if you would have traded him pre-extension. Guys, a lot of things could have been solved if the Oilers would have traded him pre-extension. Now, you have heard my thoughts on moving Darnell Nurse to forward. That is the best possible solution there. So, then you look at Adam Larsson and Oscar Klefbom. What do you do with those guys? Adam Larsson, again, injuries seem to now be creeping into his game. Right? Devaluing. Selling low again. Because this guy was traded 1-for-1 for Taylor Hall. Now, make of the move what you will. I think a pick needed to be added from New Jersey, all that. But, end of the day, this guy was once equivalent to Taylor Hall in a trade. Well, now, a bit older, a bit more banged up. He seems to have plateaued in his career. He's good when he's on. But we've also seen Adam Larsson when he's off. And it's very, very awful. So what do? You have to find a perfect suitor, and I think that's, like I said, mentioned the Toronto thing. I think that's the perfect suitor, probably based on needs, and you can probably work out a pretty dandy trade there. Clefbaum has the most perceived value in the NHL when it comes to Oilers defensemen, simply because he's on the #1 power play in the NHL, and of course he holds steady, and the Oilers win when they play him. That seems pretty simple. I think anyway. But you'd be surprised, right? You just never know in the NHL what a guy's equivalent value is. So Clefbaum probably our highest valued. Larson, Nurse tied for second. Chris Russell in there somewhere behind, and Matt Benning the easiest chop off the block. Somewhere in all that, you have to find two guys to chop. And end of the day, like I said, there is no perfect solution. So the perfect solution in my mind is move Darnell Nurse to forward, bite your losses of him being a defenseman, and chop Matt Benning. Because you make up Matt Benning with Caleb Jones, and if you want to free up that spot for Evan Bouchard, you're gold. If not, I guess you retain Darnell Nurse on defense and you just move forward. Like I said, minimum you got to open up is one spot, max two. And realistically, moving anybody on the back end, you're not getting anything that's going to change the Oilers' forward dynamic. You're not. 100% you're not. Guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. I'll let you chew on that. And then hopefully, by Friday, we'll get back to regular routine and we'll get talking rumors. We'll get talking trades. And we'll have a lot of fun here in the summer edition of our hockey. I'm Tyson, Dolynny TV, up on out of here.